Making American Government and Politics Tenable, presented by citizenu.org. Today's concept is foundations. A central theme to studying American government and politics is looking at our roots, looking at our foundations. When looking at foundations of American government, one invariably must assess government power. At the foundations of American government, one finds the separation of power. The clearest place to see that separation of power is in the three branches of government: legislative, executive, and judicial. Separation of powers is most clearly seen in our three branches of government. The power of the purse, found in the legislative branch, and the power of the sword, the executive branch, cannot be in the same hands. The preservation of liberty requires that the three great departments of power should be separate and distinct. The foundations of American government, we assess power. Here in America, it's the separation of power. Foundations. The following 10 words will make our foundations even more understandable, even more tenable. Let's begin. Checks and balances. The system of checks and balances means that most acts of government cannot be performed exclusively by one branch. You first must enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself. Checks and balances. Can you think of some examples? Reserved powers, the 10th Amendment. Reserving powers to the state and local governments is another way we protect ourselves against the tyranny of absolute authority. Powers reserved to the states, the 10th Amendment. Reserved powers. What are the benefits of reserving certain powers to local governments? Pluralism versus elitism. In a true democratic form of government, all types of individuals and groups compete equally for influence and power in order to make public policy. This is a pluralist society. Though elites play a disproportionate role, the fear of electoral retribution is what leads strategic, self-interested political elites to be attentive to popular concerns. Pluralism versus elitism. Do you think the American system of government is pluralistic, or is it elitist? Which would you prefer? Popular sovereignty. Popular sovereignty means nothing more and nothing less than the people here have the last say. As Alexander Hamilton reminded us, the inquiry constantly is what will please, not what will benefit the people. Popular sovereignty. Why did our founders feel obliged to put the ultimate power in the hands of the people while at the same time distrust them? Caucus, convention, primary. As time has passed, political parties have empowered more and more everyday people. The process has become more democratic. Where a caucus once chose our political candidates, this has progressed to a convention and ultimately to what we use today in most 50 states, a primary. Political parties to become potent engines by which cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people. This is why, increasingly, more and more Americans have been asked to participate in the selection of candidates. Caucus, convention, primary. Though political parties have grown increasingly democratic, why did George Washington fear them? Federalist 10. Federalist 10 addressed two vital questions: the merits of a republic over a democracy, and that a large republic could best guard against the dangers of factions than could a small republic. If a faction consists of less than a majority, relief is supplied by the Republican principle, which enables the majority to defeat its sinister views by regular vote. So said James Madison in Federalist 10. Federalist 10. Cliques are a lot like factions. How are they dangerous? How might a large school mitigate their influence? Democracy versus a republic. Republics are democracies that filter public opinion through an elite class of elected officials. A true democracy removes that filter. Man's capacity for justice makes democracy possible, but man's inclination to injustice makes democracy necessary. Democracy versus a republic. Would you rather live in a direct democracy or in a republic? Is it an either-or? Bicameralism. Bicameralism means we have a two-house legislature, House and Senate. It is important we have a checks and balances system. A bicameral legislature provides a diversity of membership, leadership, and outlook that can't be achieved in a unicameral legislature. Bicameralism. Why not tricameralism? Formal versus informal power. The formal powers are those specifically granted in the Constitution. Informal powers, those not specifically stated in the Constitution. Presidential power is the power to persuade. Increasingly, our government's greatest source of power is not found in the Constitution, but in those informal powers experienced over time. Formal versus informal power. What are the dangers of a president relying upon informal powers? Judicial review. Judicial review allows the court to do more than apply the law. Its ultimate duty is to say what the law means. This is of the very essence of judicial duty. The Constitution is superior to any ordinary act of the legislature. Judicial review allows our Supreme Court, according to Marbury versus Madison, to rule on the constitutionality not only of law, but of action taken by the executive branch. Judicial review. Does this make our least dangerous branch now the most dangerous branch? We're here to make government and politics more understandable. We're trying to make American government and politics tenable. Presented by citizenu.org.